Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all for the class. Today, in this session, we are going to discuss regarding 8086 architecture. So in the last class, we have seen regarding the 8086 pin diagram, like how many pins are there. So what is the functionality of each pin? So everything we have seen in the last class. And now today's class, we'll be going to see the architecture of 8086. So 8086 architecture or 8086 microprocessor is an enhanced version of 8085. It is an enhanced version of 8085. Like as I have said you in the before class, the 8085 is going to be studied by the IT students, and you people, you are going to have the 8086 architecture. So this, as I have said you in the introduction part, like once again, I'm brushing up the things. This 8086 is designed by Intel in the year 1976, right? So in this, it is the main thing is it is a 16-bit microprocessor, whereas 8085 is a 8-bit microprocessor. Like this microprocessor is having 20 address lines and 16 data lines. Fine. And it is also having the instruction set in order to work the instruction. A powerful instruction set will be there in order to work that, and which provides operations like multiplication, division very much easily. We can do it very much easily by making use of this instruction set. And this 8086 in the pin diagram, we have seen this 8086 is going to support two modes of operation. The first one is the maximum mode, and second one is the minimum mode. So what are the pins that are going to be activated in maximum mode? What are the pins that are going to be activated in minimum mode? We have already seen. So in maximum mode is suitable for system having multiple processes. So the systems which are having multiple processes, so then we'll be going for the maximum mode. And in minimum mode is suitable for the systems having the single processor. So if the multiple processors are there, we'll be going to make use of this maximum mode. And if single processor is there, we'll be going for the minimum mode. So here there are many prominent features by this 8086 are there. There are many features of 8086. So some of this 8086 features are like it has an instruction queue, which is capable of storing 6 instructions. So that is the main thing. So what are the features in the sense? We'll be going from the starting. It is a 16-bit microprocessor, and as I have said, it is going to have a 20-bit address bus and 16-bit data bus. It can support up to 64K bytes of data, and the word size is of 16 bits. It has a multiplexed address in the database like AD0 to AD15 and A16 to A19. So what is the major thing we have to see in this 8086 is like it is going to have an instruction queue, 6-byte prefetch instruction queue, in order to speed up the execution. So that is the one of the major important feature that was available with the 8086 microprocessor. So it was first 16-bit processor. It is the first 16-bit processor which is going to have the 16-bit arithmetic and logical unit. So it is going to have 16-bit arithmetic and logical unit, and it is going to have the 16-bit registers and internal data bus. 16-bit internal data bus will be there, and 16-bit external data bus will be there. So by making use of all this, the execution is going to become faster, very much faster. So it is available in 3 versions based on the frequency. So the first version is 8086, which is of 5 megahertz based on the frequency. So these division based on frequency. So the first version is 8086, which is going to have 5 megahertz, and 8086-2, which is going to have 8 megahertz, and 8086-1, which is going to have 10 megahertz. So based on the frequency, it is going to be classified into 3 categories. And it uses 2 stages of pipelining. That means a fetching stage will be there and the execution stage will be there. So 2 stages of pipelining. All these are features. We'll be going in detail so that you will be going to have the better understanding. The first one is the fetch stage and the second one is the execute stage. Fine. So fetch stage, what do you mean by a fetch stage? In the sense, it can fetch up to 6 instructions, 6 bytes of instructions, and store them in a queue. So this is the fetch stage. And when it comes to execute stage, it executes one by one instruction. One instruction after another, it executes. Like it consists of 29,000 transistors and 256 vectored interrupts. We have already seen what are vectored and what are non-vectored interrupts, right? So that is the how this futures of 8086 is going to be done. Now let us go through this internal architecture of this 8086. So this internal architecture of 8086 is basically divided into 2 units. The first one is the BIU and the second one is the EU. What is the 2 classification of internal architecture? In the sense, till here, so this is the first block and this is the second part. The first part is BIU and the second division is execution unit. EU is the execution unit. So when it comes to the architecture, so what do you mean by bus interface unit and what do you mean by the execution unit? So let me write here, BIU stands for bus interface unit and EU stands for execution unit. Fine. So here, these are the 2 phases in which you will be going to have the things. So bus interface unit and the execution unit. So first tell me regarding this execution unit. So execution unit gives instructions to the bus interface unit, starting from where to fetch the data and then decoding and then executing those instructions. So what the function of this is, its function is to control the operations. This function is to control the operations on data using the instruction decoder and ALU. Fine. So this execution unit has no direct connection with the system buses. So you can see in the figure. So this execution unit has no direct connection with the buses in any of the buses. So what the execution is going to do is, so here the bus interface unit, in this bus interface unit, you will be going to have all data and address transfer. This bus interface unit take care of all data and addresses transfer on the buses for the execution unit, like sending the addresses, fetching the instructions from the memory, reading data from the ports and the memory, as well as writing data to the ports and the memory. All these things are going to be done by this bus interface unit only. So there are many of the works that is going to be done by the bus interface unit. So fetching instructions from the memory, So fetching instructions from the memory, reading data from the ports and the memory, writing data to the ports and the memory, all these are the things that are going to be done by this bus interface unit. So here this execution unit has no direct connection with the system buses. So this is possible with the bus interface unit only. This execution unit and bus interface unit are connected with the internal buses, not with the system bus. They are going to be connected with the internal buses. So here, when it comes to the bus interface unit or bus interface unit, it has the following functional parts. What are the functional parts in the sense? The first thing is here instruction queue, instruction stream byte queue or instruction queue, we can say this is the major part in the bus interface unit. And next one is the segment register. So all these we call it as the segment registers. All these we call it as a segment registers. And next one is the instruction point. This IP, till here only segment registers. This IP is the instruction point. So these are the things that are available in the bus interface unit. We'll be going to see one by one. The first one is the instruction queue or instruction stream byte queue. This bus interface unit consisting of this instruction. How many instructions? 6 byte. 6 byte prefetch queue, we can say. 6 byte prefetch queue. So bus interface unit gets up to 6 bytes of next instructions and store them in this instruction queue. So when execution unit executes instructions, suppose here when CPU is this execution unit is executing one instruction, what the bus interface unit parallelly will do is it is going to fetch another instruction. Suppose this is the first instruction, so this instruction we have given to the arithmetic and logical unit. Here 2 will come, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, when this first instruction is executing, parallelly, this prefetch queue is going to fetch another instruction and store in the 6 byte prefetch queue. So here at a time, two things are doing. So here it is the first instruction is executing. At the same time, 7th instruction is going to be fetched. So that is the reason why it is very much faster. So then it simply reads the instruction from the instruction queue, resulting in the increased execution speed. So how we are going to increase that execution speed in the sense by doing two things. When the first instruction is executing in this execution unit, at the same time, this prefetch is going to fetch another instruction from the memory. It is going to fetch another instruction from the memory, and it is going to store in the 6 byte prefetch queue. So this is the main advantage. So this concept we call it as pipelining concept. What is pipelining in the sense? When one instruction is executing, the prefetch, it is going to fetch another instructions from the memory, and it is going to store it in the 6 byte instruction queue. That concept we call it as a pipelining. So what is the definition of pipelining in the sense? Fetching the next instruction while the current instruction executes is called pipelining. So here I am writing it, fetching the next instruction while current instruction is executing. This concept we call it as a pipelining. Very, very important for short answer. Fine. So here we are executing this instruction, and at the same time we are fetching the next instruction. So this part is completed. And the second part, coming to the second part, segment register. So this bus interface unit is going to have 4 segment registers. 1, 2, 3, 4 segment registers. So the first one is ES. ES stands for extra segment. CS stands for core segment. SS stands for stack segment. DS stands for data segment. These are the 4 segment registers we are having. So we'll be going to look after one after another. The first one is ES. ES stands for extra segment. ES is an additional data segment which is used by the string to hold the extra destination data. So extra, as the name itself indicates, extra destination data it is going to handle. So that is the purpose of this extra segment. Next one is stack code segment. CS stands for code segment. So what is the purpose of this code segment is it is used for addressing a memory location. It is used for addressing memory location in the code segment of the memory where the executable program is stored. So that is the code segment. So when you are going to start a writing program, you will be start writing with the CS code segment where the starting address is going to be stored in the memory. That address will be going to store in the code segment. Next one is the stack segment. SS stands for stack segment. It handles the memory to store data and address during execution. So during execution, if we store the memory to store the data and addresses, in the sense in which segment we'll store that in the stack segment. And lastly, data segment. DS is the data segment. It consists of data used by the program and is accessed in the data segment by an offset. So that is the purpose of the data segment. So our memory is divided into 4 segments. So this is our total memory. So this memory is divided into 4 segment. Extra segment in the sense where additional data segment data is going to be stored. Code segment in the sense like it is used for addressing a memory location in the code segment. Stack segment in the sense currently execution. During execution, it holds and stores the data and the addresses. Data segment in the sense it consists of data used by the program. So that is the thing. And lastly, you will be going to have the instruction pointer. So this instruction pointer is a 16-bit register which is used to hold the address of the next instruction. So it is going to use to hold the address of the next instruction address that is going to be executed. So that is the purpose of the instruction pointer. It points or it stores the address of the next instruction. So that is the purpose of the instruction register. And next, coming to the this execution unit. So when it comes to the execution unit, so you will be going to have the first and the foremost, this is the execution unit. You will be going to have the arithmetic and logical unit. So what is the purpose of this arithmetic and logical unit? It performs arithmetic operations as well as logical operations. What are arithmetic operations? Addition, subtraction, multiplication and division are the arithmetic operations. Or and not are the logical operations. The purpose of this ALU is to perform all these things. And next one is the flags. Here flags are there. So for flags, you will be going to have separate question for the flags. So here we'll be going to have the conditional flags and control flags. Totally 9 will be there. I'll be going to explain it sooner. And here we'll be going to have the 2 resistors. I'll be going to deal with this later. And here we have to discuss about this stack pointer resistor and the base pointer resistor. So here these are the 8 resistors. So first we'll be going for this AH and AL. H means higher order, L means lower order. So this is of 8-bit and this is of 8-bit. Totally we say it as an AX which is of 16-bit. So this is BX which is of 16-bit and CX which is of 16-bit and finally DX which is of 16-bit. Fine. Individually this is 8-bit and this is 8-bit. So higher order, D higher order, D lower order. So totally 8 plus 8, 16-bit. So if you want to store the 16-bit data, we have to call it as an DX. If you want to store 8-bit, DH or DL, like that we can store. So this AX is also known as accumulator resistor. Very important thing. This AX is also known as accumulator resistor. It is used to store operands for arithmetic operations. That is the purpose of this AX resistor. And BX resistor in the sense base resistor. So it is used to store the starting base address of the memory. So that is the purpose of this base register. Next one is the CX register. CX is nothing but counter register. It is used in loop instructions. How many times the loop should repeat? For 5 times, in the sense the 5 times the counter will count, and when the 5 times over, the loop will terminate. So that is the purpose of this counter register. So this DX register, this register is used to hold the IO port address for our input output instructions. So AX is the accumulator register, which is used to store operands for arithmetic operations, and BX is the base register, which is used to store the starting address of the memory, and CX is the counter register, which is used in loop instructions to store the loop counter, and DX is the data register, which is used to hold the IO port address. So that is these are the registers we are going to have. So there are 8 general purpose registers, that is AHAL, BHBL, CHCL, and DHDL, which can be used to store 8-bit data individually and can be used as a pair to store the 16-bit data. The valid pairs are AX, BX, CX, and DX. This is regarding this AX, BX, CX, and DX registers. These are the general purpose registers. Here you can see the description for this. See here, AX, BX, CX. So 16-bit general purpose register is 16-bit. So this is AH means higher order and AL means lower order. So together we call it as an AX. AX stands for accumulator register. BX stands for base register. CX stands for counter register, and DX stands for data register. Next, we will be going to have the stack pointer, base pointer, source index, and the destination index. So here, pointer and index registers. Stack pointer is used with SS, stack segment, to access the stack segment, right? Base pointer is used to access the data on the stack, and it can be used to access the data on the other segments. So that is the purpose of the stack pointer and the base pointer, fine. So stack pointer and base pointer are that means pointers that are going to be present over here. See here, we'll be going to have the stack pointer and the base pointer. Stack pointer, base pointer, source index means it is pointing to the source, and destination index means it is going to point to the destination. So this is how the architecture is going to be. And I have left with the flags concept, right? Here there are different flags over here. Here there are totally 9 flags over here, conditional flags and control flags. It is divided into conditional flags and control flags. So here, this is the regarding the flags. So a flag is a flip-flop which indicates some condition produced by the instruction, execution of the instruction. So either it may be a true or it may be a false, or it may be a 1 or it may be a 0. So it is a flip-flop, either 0 or 1. So in 8086, the execution unit contains a 16-bit flag register. 9 of these out of 16 flags, we are going to have 9 flags. So out of 9 flags, 6 are going to be the conditional status flags and 3 are going to be the control flags. Fine. 6 are conditional flags and 3 are control flags. So what are the flags? What are the 9 flags in the sense? Carry flag, this is 1. Parity flag, this is 2. Auxiliary flag, and 0 flag, and sign flag. 6th is trap flag. 7th is interrupt flag. 8th is direction flag, and 9th is overflow flag. So these are the 9th flag, and remaining U makes an unused flags. You are having 16 flags. Out of 16 flags, only 9 flags are going to be used. Out of 9, 6 are conditional flags and 3 are control flags. So here, the flags that are going to have the carry flag. What is the purpose of the carry flag? It holds the carry after addition or borrow. And parity flag, if it is an even parity or odd parity. If PF is equals to 0, if it is set to 0, it is an odd parity. If it's set to 1, that means a flip-flop. We are saying na, a flip-flop means either two states, 0 or 1 state. If it is 0 means odd parity, if it is 1 means even parity. Auxiliary carry flag, so holds the carry after addition or borrow subtraction between 3 positions. So that is the auxiliary carry. So if LHS is added, that if carry generated, suppose 2, 3, 7, 7. So 3 plus 7, 10. So this we call it as a carry. If MSB, this is LSB, least significant bits produce a carry, we call it as a carry. If MSB, 7 plus 2, 9, 9 plus 1, 10. This we call it as an auxiliary carry. If MSB produces a carry, then we say it as an auxiliary carry. So that is the difference between the carry and the auxiliary carry. If LSB generated a carry, then we call it as a carry. If MSB generated a carry, then we call it as an auxiliary carry. Zero flag. If the result of an arithmetic operation is 0, this 0 flag is going to be set or reset. If Z is equals to 1, result is 0. Z is equals to 0, the result is 0. Fine. This is how the 0 flag is going to be. Sign flag, if S is equals to 1, then it is negative, and if S is equals to 0, then we are having some non-negative value. So that is the sign flag. And next one is a trap flag. So enables the trap flag through a chip debugging feature. These are the control flags. So what are the control flags? Trap flag, interrupt flag, and direction flag are the control flags. These are the 3 control flags which are going to control the operation. Interrupt means when an interrupt generated, this interrupt flag is going to be enabled. If it is disabled, there is no interrupt. Direction flag, so it selects either increment or decrement mode. So if segment registers during the string operation, it is going to tell the direction. Overflow flag, in the sense if the stack is full, then we'll be going to have this overflow flag as going to be set. So these are the different flag registers we are going to have. So carry flag, parity flag, auxiliary flag, zero flag, sign flag, and overflow flag are the flags, different flags that are going to be done in the flag registers. So this is the bus interface unit. So we are having the 6-byte prefetch queue, which is very, very important. Here we'll be going to come across the pipelining concept. What is the pipelining concept? When one instruction is executing, the next instruction is being fetched. So two works are doing at a time, that we call it as a pipelining. So these are the segment registers: code segment, data segment, extra segment, and the stack segment. So this is how we'll be going for this 8086 architecture. The summary here is we'll be going to have the bus interface unit and the execution unit. This bus interface unit will be going to have the segment registers, code segment, data segment, extra segment, and stack segment. We'll be going to have the instruction pointer, which points to the next address of the next instruction. We are having the source index and data index. Source index address will be going to have, data index and destination address will be going to have, stack pointer and base pointer. Stack pointer points to the top of the stack, base pointer points to the starting address. And this is the pipelining. 6-byte instruction prefetch queue will be there. The pipelining, in the sense when one instruction is executing, the another instruction is being fetched. When it comes to the execution unit, we'll be going to have eight registers, like AHAL, BHBL, CHDL, totally we call it as an AX, which is going to hold the 16-bit. Stack pointer, base pointer, source index, destination index, and flags are totally 9 out of 16. Out of 9, 6 are conditional flags and 3 are control flags. ALU, it is an arithmetic and logical unit which is going to perform the arithmetic operations as well as the logical operations. So this is how the architecture of 8086 is going to be. It is an advanced version of 8085 architecture. Why? Because 8085 is an 8-bit, but when it comes to the 8086, it is a 16-bit microprocessor which is going to have much execution or processing speed. This control system is used to control each and every part of the microprocessor. Fine. This is how the architecture, internal architecture is going to be done. So when bus interface unit, it is going to fetch, decode, execute. First one is fetching here, fetching from the memory and storing it in prefetch queue and decoding over there, and then here it comes the execution unit. When arithmetic and logical unit will be going to execute. This is how the 8086 microprocessor architecture is going to be done. So that's all for today's class, students. In the next class, we'll be discuss regarding the addressing modes of 8086 microprocessor architecture. Fine. Thank you all, students. Have a great day.